So thank you again so much for joining us today. Just so everyone here knows, I'm Matthew King from TR King Insurance Marketing, and this is Phil. He's been working our leads and using the system for about 2 weeks now, I believe.
Yeah, your new lead
And
system. Yep.
yeah, awesome, awesome. So just give us a little bit of background. How long have you been in the insurance industry, and what's your main product focus?
I've been in the business since February 2020, so a little over 4 years. I mainly concentrate, Matthew, on final expense insurance. I do some term policies, not very many. I also do some annuities and things of that nature. So that's basically what I've been involved in, and hopefully going to continue to find success with that.
Awesome, awesome. Um, and you mentioned before as well in one of our other calls that you've been part of the $1 Million Roundtable as well. Can you give us a little bit about that? What made you successful there and being able to hit that achievement? That's quite an achievement.
Well, I tell folks, Matthew, really, I probably just got lucky, to be honest with you. But for me, it was a great achievement. I made that 2 years ago. And it's one of those things that, for me, it's about consistency. The thing is, if you're getting a consistent lead flow, you're working those leads consistently. Coming in, for me, I'm in the office by 8:30 every morning. I stay here till 5:30. I take a lunch break. And during that time, I have a routine that I follow. And I found that if you put a system in place, follow that system, work that routine, results will follow. So, and
Awesome,
I don't know if I'm doing anything magical, just kind of got a process and follow that routine.
awesome,
It's getting
awesome.
lucky.
And then how are you liking the real-time leads with our company so far?
Yeah, I like them, Matthew. I really do. The thing that's nice about them is that they are coming in, like you say, real time. So, the customer's going on to the platform, they're seeing the advertisement, and then once they fill out the form, it showed up in my inbox. And so that means that I can then get in touch with them. Assuming I'm not another call, I could literally be calling them minutes after they submitted the information. It may be an hour or two afterwards if I got either business that day, if I've got appointments or folks I'm talking on the phone, but I can pretty much get in contact with the lead same day. And I'm going to tell you that is so vitally important because that lead is then still thinking about, hey, I want to get insurance. If I'm 2 to 3 days behind that, maybe that thought's left their head. It's not as important to them as it is now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're mainly selling over the phone, correctly?
Yes, that's normally how I do business. Every once in a while, I will do a in-person contact. That's got to be obviously close enough for me to travel to. Typically, like I say, I started in the COVID era, so pretty much everything was being done by phone. Then
Yeah,
that's what the transition was. It's maybe sometimes a little bit harder to gain that trust factor, but if you do the right things, you can gain that trust as well as you can as in person. And so I'd say probably 95% of my business has been over the phone.
okay. And so when we're thinking about you're starting the day and you're coming in, I believe you just said 8:30,
Mhm.
and give us a little bit about what your approach is. Like what are you starting to prepare and do as you get and look at your real-time leads? Let's start there, and then I'll dive into the process of reaching out to them. But
Yeah, basically the day starts pretty much, if I haven't already put it together from the night before, I get my to-do list together. And usually I've got that done the night before, and that way I can come in, I can look at it, map out a plan. I'm usually not on the phone until 9 o'clock. So that half hour that's before that really kind of gives me a chance to get my head right. I'm looking at what's coming up that day, what appointments I may have to call, things that are going to be happening so that I can kind of be in the right mindset. The other thing that I look at is a lot of positive self-affirmations. I don't know if a lot of agents are doing that, but I highly recommend it if they aren't, because let's face it, we get told no a lot. I'm going to call up a lead today. I may get the phone hung up on me. I don't know what's going to happen. I've been cussed out on the phone. So it may be that type of day. And if I'm doing those positive self-affirmations, again, I'm getting my head right. And then I'm looking at what leads I've got coming in. And if I've got it set up right, because on your system, what's really convenient about it is I can control my lead flow. If I want 10 calls that day, if I want 20 calls that day, if I want 5 calls that day, I can set your lead flow that's going to match up with what I'm looking to do. So for instance, if I've got 3 appointments already set up for that morning, I may not want 20 calls coming in that day. I may only want 5 coming in, so I can work those in the afternoon. But that's generally how my day starts. And so kind of getting that map, that roadmap out there so I know where I'm going and how I'm going to get there.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree with that. Mindset, and just being in a positive state of mind plays such a huge factor, and we often overlook it, quite heavily overlook it most times, and it's one of those areas not talked about. So thank you a
Well,
lot for sharing that.
well, the thing is that particularly being on the phone and not on like this, not a Zoom call, it's just regular phone line. And you got to smile because again, you can hear a smile in your voice. If you're calling up and saying, "Well, hi Matthew, it's me, I'm Phil, I'm calling," that's not gonna get me anywhere. But I'm saying, "Hey Matthew, this is Phil Batten calling. I'm really glad to be able to speak to you this morning." And they can see that smile, although they can't see it, they can see it in their mind. That goes a long, long way on phone sales.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we got your morning kind of mapped out here. Now, let's say you're sitting down, you're getting ready to call them, and or you're in the process of calling them. Walk me through a little bit of what that's going to look like for you. Are you preparing with a script that you've run through? You probably run through it a few times now, but just give me a kind of little bit of insight on that side.
What I'm looking at there, Matthew, is of course there is the script. And for me, just for new agents, if new agents are looking at this, I'm going to tell you that whatever script you're working with, make sure you know it forwards and backwards. Um, that way, again, you're going to find that no call is really truly going to follow the script. It's like riding a horse. Sometimes the horse is going to go the way the horse wants to. No matter how much I want to go to the right, it's going to the left, and I'm not going to change that. Same thing with a call. So know your scripts that when you're going through it, if you're going through your one part of that script, all of a sudden the person you're calling wants to go to another area, they kind of skip something on you. You might want to come back and make sure you're catching and cleaning up what you missed. For me, I'm a geek, Matthew. I'll be honest. When I was starting out, I would take the script and I would go in front of the mirror and I would go through that script in the mirror. And of course, it was a script that I had found, somebody else had created. And I changed it a little bit because, again, the way that that script went, the person that did it, I'm not that person. I'm Phil Batten. I can't be Matthew King. I can't be anybody else but Phil Batten. And so as the words were rolling off my tongue, I'd go to that script and say, well, that didn't sound right. That doesn't sound like me. And so as a result, I would change things so that the words roll easier off my tongue, sounded more like me talking than somebody else. And I think that's really important for new agents to learn and to know. Even if you're an experienced agent, make it your script, not somebody else's.
Right, and that's something that you can tweak as you go. Like you said, you can get in front of the mirror, or maybe you end up in a conversation with a couple of
Mhm.
leads and you realize, I don't quite like the way this sounds, or I don't quite like the way that it's coming across. Like it doesn't, when I say it, it doesn't feel right. And you can turn it into your script, your voice, your
Yeah.
tone, and the way that you like to be.
The,
Yeah,
the other
definitely.
thing, the other thing I like to do, Matthew, is in the information we get from your leads, I've got their name, I've got their address, so I know where they live. In fact, when you're getting the leads, they'll actually have a map. They'll have it pinned on the map where they are, which is really nice. And one of the things that most of my work is here in North Carolina. That's the state that I concentrate on. That's where I get my leads from. And throughout my life, as you can tell by the snow on the roof, I'm a little bit older, but I've traveled through a lot of North Carolina. And so I'm looking at that city. Maybe I've been there. Maybe I know something about that city. Like Lexington, North Carolina. If you're not from North Carolina, Lexington is known for its barbecue. One of the most famous ones is known as Lexington barbecue, also known as Honey Monk. So if I see somebody that's in the Lexington area, one of my lead-ins is going to be, as we get to know each other, we talk, well, listen, what's your favorite barbecue restaurant there in Lexington? I really like Honey Monk, and I've eaten there several times. I mean, I'm not going to fib to somebody. I'm going to tell them the actual
Right,
truth,
right.
obviously, but making those connections about where they live, what it's like to live there. So before I even get on the phone, I'm going to be doing some research.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And so we've got consistency, making sure you're getting in the right mindset, making sure that you kind of are following a script, that you know it uh, fully and entirely to be able to skip around if possible, and then to also kind of change that around as you grow the experience, especially if it's a newer agent, maybe even not newer agent, but just new to this type of lead as well. Do you have any other tips? And I know this is kind of leaving it open for you. Do you have any other tips for those working real-time leads for the first time?
Get on them quickly. Like I said before, someone's on that, and they're looking at the ad. They're going to the platform, they're filling out that form. That's when they're sitting there saying, yeah, I really need to address this insurance issue. Something in that ad sparked them. They saw that they have a need or desire there. They're thinking, wow, I do really need to protect my family. And so again, if you get on that very quickly, if you can, that's where you're going to get the most success. If you let it sit, I mean, if I got one in the morning, I've let them sit to the afternoon sometimes just because, again, I was on other phone calls. They're still good. They're still thinking about it. I don't want to let it sit for a day or two. I want to get to it that day if possible. That's really what my strategy is because, again, that's when they're hot for it. And if you don't hit them where they're hot, then they're going to cool off. They're going to think, well, yeah, I was interested a day ago, but 2 days, I'm not interested anymore. Thank you for calling me. So you want to make sure you're hitting them when it is fresh in their mind, when that concern is still there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I know that you're still working through a good bit of your leads right now. I know you've closed a couple. Uh, what is your expected like closing ratio you're thinking so far on these?
Again, it's hard to say because we just started about 2 weeks. I'm
Yeah.
finding that I think I'm closing between 5 to 10% right now.
Okay.
But I expect that to increase. And the reason I say that is, and again, this is something for both new and experienced agents to think about. I'm not a one call close guy, never have been. I know some agents, they can call someone on the phone, first time, they get it closed. A lot of leads for me are not that way. For me personally, if you were calling me looking to sell me insurance, I'm going to be telling you, like you hear a lot of times, I got to talk to my wife because my wife and I are partners. We make those decisions together. And so I'm more willing to say, okay, that's great. When can we get together with both you and your wife on the phone? Let's find a time that we can both work together. So as long as you're making that first contact early on while it's still hot, setting that up for down the road, those are going to work. The other thing is I've got some leads that it may be the 10th time I'm calling them. I didn't get on the first time, nobody answered second time, third time, etc. But maybe on that 10th phone call, they're answering that phone. Why on the 10th phone call? I can't give you the magic reason for that, but somebody's going to answer on that 10th phone call. And now I've got an opportunity. And so right now I still got a lot that I'm only on the second, third go around with them as far as trying to reach them. The other nice thing about your leads, it also has an email address. And so I can send them an email. And if I'm remembering correctly, Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the compliance issues, we can actually text under your leads, if I'm not mistaken, as well, too.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Good, because I've been doing that and I don't want to get in trouble.
Yes, yeah, you actually can as well. Awesome, awesome. And so, a lot of agents fall short on that as well, like just following up, not giving in, even though it's been maybe the third time, keep going. It's the follow-up where most of the money is, and then the appointment setting, like you mentioned. There are some people out there that are really good. Boom, first call, first moment, they're in the sale, they're in and out. Maybe they have years and years and years worth of experience. But for most agents, I know that beginning call is going to be more of an appointment type setting call to then go back the next day or whichever it is
And the
to
other thing I
speak
found,
with them.
Matthew, the other thing I've found is that for me, I've noticed in tracking my sales, there's a lot more persistency in ones that are not a first call close. Persistency for first call closes, at least for me, is fairly much lower than what I do when I've got one I'm set up an appointment I've been working with. Simply because, again, that first call close, they might feel maybe some pressure or they haven't really thought it through. The next thing you know, they're going, wow, I really wish I hadn't done that. And they're canceling their policy. Whereas if you've taken the time to work with that customer, you've really gotten to know them, develop that relationship with them, those deals tend to stick a whole lot more than otherwise.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, I can imagine building up that rapport, making that connection, not being that fly by night agent that they've heard from one time and one
Yeah.
time only, definitely helps with that case.
And it helps with trust too, because again, if they haven't, they got that one call from me and they never hear from me again, they're going, wow, did I get scammed? Did I really make a mistake here? But if we've called each other, they've called me, and we've had 4 or 5 good conversations, I know that seems like a lot to get that deal done. But if that trust is there, then all of a sudden that policy is going to stick. I'm going to get referrals from that customer, and that's going to increase my business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you probably don't have a trick, but what's your biggest tip on asking for referrals?
The big thing that I do on that is, again, if I've got them to where they're happy with what they're getting, I'm gonna sit there and say, well, Matthew, I know you were really worried about protecting your family, and tonight you go to bed, put your head on that pillow, and not worry about your family. If something happens to you tomorrow, you know that they are taken care of. And Matthew, would you say that I did a good job for you today and working with you and helping you get this set up? And if I did, would you be willing to maybe talk to some family members or friends that you think might need some help with their life insurance? Because if you think I've helped you and did a good job for you, I can certainly do that for them. And if you will, that'd be great. I'd really appreciate that. That's a great compliment for me. So if you think I did a good job, help me out if you don't mind. And just simply right there, that feel good part of that close. The policy's done. They've got approval. They're feeling good about what's happened. That's when you ask for that referral. And like I say, not every customer is going to be referrals, but I have a large number that do refer me to friends and family.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, I got a few more closing questions for you.
Sure.
Um, how's your experience been working with us, um, and how we've made you feel?
I have loved working with your leads, Matthew. I mean, even before you had the new system that you got in right now, I did a lot of the telemarketing leads. You've got a lady that you work with, Grace. I have always been able to contact Grace with any questions I've had. She's gotten back to me really same day. I mean, unless it's just late in the afternoon, she's getting back to me same day, getting me the information that I need. So from a customer service aspect, as far as everything there, that's been fantastic. And I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Um, if you're looking to go on the website and look at the real-time leads and things like that, your company's got some great videos that'll walk through how they operate, how they're going to come in, how the platform is set up. I looked at those videos before I started, and I had a great bit of information. I had a couple of questions, but again, talking with you, talking with Grace, I got my answers. I said, okay, yeah, let's try this out. So going with what you're doing there, Matthew, I would recommend agents watch those videos, take a look at how the system works. I think you'll be impressed. And like I said, right now they're coming in real time. Platform is very, very user friendly, and customer service has been absolutely A1. And I appreciate you guys for that.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. And then someone that's kind of sitting on the fence, like they're not sure if this is the right choice for them. What would you say to someone if they were sitting on the fence about purchasing leads?
Well, is it okay if I mention price on those leads?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'm getting leads for $20 a lead. And to me, that is a absolutely phenomenal price. Now, I see sometimes you can get them maybe a little bit cheaper if somebody's running a sale or something like that. But at $20 a lead, if you just got 10 leads, you've invested $200. It's not a huge, return on investment. If you get one of those to close, you've certainly made back your investment on that lead cost. And if you are closing at 20%, then for 10 leads, you've got 2 to close. If each of those is going to bring you $500, let's say you're getting a $500 advance on each of those, you just made $1,000 for a cost of $200. I consider that a pretty good return on investment. So invest that $200, see if it works for you, try it, give it a shot. I think you'll be pleased.
Awesome, awesome. And one thing that I'm going to ask you, this will be the last question I ask you,
Sure.
and it's on everyone's minds. Does transitioning to our new lead portal system make you feel comfortable with the new TCPA rules and how everything is going?
It did, and the videos explain that really well. Because again, right now, I think a lot of agents are concerned, because let's face it, I'm coming to you for leads. I'm putting my trust in you that you're providing me leads that are going to be TTC compliant. And based on the way you've got it set up, the way it's done on your platform, you're meeting those requirements. And that's what I need as an agent, because I don't want to be getting that letter from the attorney's office saying, oh, by the way, you violated the FCC regulations. We're suing you now. I certainly don't want to have that coming across my inbox. And so having that comfort that I know that these leads are scrubbed appropriately, they're compliant, I can text, email, or call based on how it's set up on the platform. I know that I'm fully covered, and that gives me a lot of peace of mind and be able to go and work the leads and work them with, with the idea that I'm going to be protected.
Awesome, awesome. Again, thank you so much, Phil, for joining
Oh,
us
my
today
pleasure.
and providing these insights and spending the time with me. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you
And
better believe it.
again, thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me on, Matthew. I appreciate you.